Hey folks, Luke Damassi here from Conan Fitness, and today the exercise for the month is the push-up. So we're going to be deconstructing the push-up so you can use it in your programs and in your exercises. We'll be looking at it from a few perspectives. The first is the posture, so getting the correct posture of the motion, and the second is that it's actually a very functional exercise. It's a movement that we do on a daily basis, so we want to teach it for best function. Done correctly, it'll promote good posture and good function, decreasing injuries around the shoulder joint. Done incorrectly, it'll obviously promote bad posture and increase likelihood of overuse injuries and rotator cuff injuries, those types of things around the shoulder joint. So let's look into it and let's break it down so you can use it. Okay folks, so for the perfect push-up, what a lot of people think is that similar to a bench press type of motion, that the elbows and arms should be at 90 degrees, which is incorrect. What we should think of when we're doing a push-up or a bench press type of motion is that it's very similar to trying to push someone away from you. So if you were literally going to push a person away from you, that pushing motion is a very natural functional motion, and you can see where the arms are. The elbows are quite low. It's not against my ribs, but it's probably at about 45 degrees. And it's fairly close to the shoulders. It's a nice strong functional motion. And that's exactly what we want our push-ups to look like. There's an angle in the arm there, probably about 45 degrees. They're not next to me and they're not up high. Obviously you can do variations like that, but we'll get into that later. We want the elbows to be nice and relaxed, and we also want the shoulder blades back. The two most common faults are that the elbows are high and the shoulder blades are rounded. So we don't want rounded shoulder blades, we want them to be back and down. Let's have a look at that in more detail. Okay Mitchell, so what we're going to start with is the incorrect way to do it, just so everyone can see. If you pop your hands quite wide, now go just for 5 normal repetitions. What we can see, people, is as the elbows are flaring, they're almost 90 degrees, they're almost perpendicular to his body. So what this does is it creates an increased stretch right at the front of the shoulder joint there. You can see the front capsule of the shoulder has a nice stretch, has a big stretch on it, and we don't want that because it's going to create injury at the front of the shoulder. Not only that, but it loses strength around the shoulder and it loses strength in the motion. It's also more likely to wing the shoulder blades because it's tight and it's going to pull them apart. Now let's try a nice close grip. This is an exaggerated grip, but as you see by the way that Mitchell descends, he's got quite a nice long neck, and it's a very simple pushing motion, and this is exaggerated but it is slightly better. The perfect hand grip, however, is somewhere in between there, just outside shoulder width, or pretty much shoulder width. And what we see here is the angle of the elbow joint. Go down, just hold it there. That's probably about 45 degrees between the body and 90 degrees perpendicular to the body. That's around about 45 degrees, a nice natural motion. Let's try that for a few repetitions. And perfect. Okay, the next thing we want to see is the position of the shoulder blades and the actual movement of the shoulder blades. Looking from behind, when we've got our normal correct posture, a lot of people will wing their shoulder blades and do a push-up in this fashion. And we obviously don't want that to happen. The normal motion is that we want our shoulder blades back and down like our usual posture would be. And when we're doing a push-up, they should stay back and down. The shoulder blades do come together and they wing slightly at the end, but no more than our usual posture would be. Just to that position. So we control down, the shoulder blades do come back, and as we press out, they slightly come forward. And it's only a small movement in the shoulder blades. It's not a winging, and it certainly doesn't stay there as we're doing our press. So when we talk about hand position, that's the next point, what we'll often notice is that people will dip their head towards the ground or towards their hands so that their nose is in line with it, or even some people put their neck in line with it. Again, this is conducive to the elbows flaring in the incorrect posture. What we want is actually about the nipples. So it's actually quite low on the chest. The hands are in line with the chest, same as a bench press motion, same as a push-up motion. We don't want it to neck, we don't want it to the head. So what this will also help do is keep a long neck. Remember, we want a long neck, we don't want it to be a short, crunched up neck and incorrect posture. That's the correct hand position. The next thing we want to look at is the hips. What we find is that a lot of people will push the bum back and therefore creating a lower angle in the hips, and do a few reps like that, which is cool. And we see that that's not the correct posture that we want. We want 180 degrees. The next thing that people do is drop the hips. That means the low back is arched and their hips go to the ground first. You can see the compression in the low back there. If you really exaggerate that, they'll really drop the hips down first and let the low back sag. What we want is 180 degrees, so hold the abdominals strong. That's about perfect, nice and low, and keep the body as one straight, controlled, stiff unit. Perfect. Remembering what we don't want to see as we come up is the elbows flaring out at 90 degrees, and that pulls the shoulder blades out. You can see them winging. What we do want to see for the perfect push-up is elbows down at 45 degrees. You notice it's that natural, normal pushing motion, like if you were pushing someone away from you. We can see the elbows down at 45 degrees there. The shoulder blades are coming back. It's a nice long neck, shoulder blades back and down. And remembering, even if we do them on the knees, for people that do their push-ups on their knees, still the hip should be at 180 degrees. There's no need to push the bum back, and the rest of it just looks like a nice, natural pushing motion. The perfect push-up.